Hey, I'm Joe Connolly. Did you hear the one about the baseball shortage? It's true. There is a shortage of baseballs and of uniforms for some school sports teams this spring. And our guest is James T. Gregory of Turn to Sports, which is a provider to a lot of schools in the New York area of sports equipment. And I met James at a business networking luncheon at Union Catholic High School in New Jersey, one of the schools he supplies. And he told us in a discussion about the supply line problems, about the baseball problem. So let's start on that topic with this. James, tell us about the baseball supply problem that's come up.
So it's very unique that what we're kind of experiencing with a lot of shortages and delays, but it's something that we're try to adapt to and trying to get used to almost, unfortunately. But yes, there is a little bit of an issue with baseballs and softballs for a lot of colleges and high schools that are in need of equipment right now. Right now, there's just supply chain issues that are affecting with the product being made and then getting into the country. So right now, we're getting calls and emails from our suppliers that there's going to be some issues and delays with product coming in and when it being readily available. So right now, we're being told next February to expect some of the shipments to be coming in, but also when they're saying next February, it's kind of plan order now so that you can get those units allocated. Because if you wait till next February, they're probably already going to be gone.
Wow. So, what are you telling schools and clients, James?
We're trying to make do as best as possible. I also try to tell them to kind of stretch out what they have as best as possible. When you and I spoke last week, some of our conversations are, to kind of take, to take an extra step to getting that product back. So if there's a foul ball, it's, hey, we really got to go get that one, see what you can do, because, a lot of schools are just tight on what they have.
So, you're not, it doesn't sound like seeing much of an improvement, maybe even a worsening of the supply line problems.
It's definitely getting worse. We just actually had one of our brands come in today to start planning for next year. It's just, in the old days, it used to be you could be able to order for next week and be readily available. Now it's order 4 to 6 months in advance and hope that you get it. We had orders that we placed in November that are due to ship in June, and we're being told that they're going to be delayed till September, October. And these are school uniforms that we pre-ordered back last November 2021 to have readily available for this coming year, and those are still delayed. So the supply chain issues are they're 100% getting worse.
Whose fault is this from your point of view? And I know the government has said we'll speed up shipments from Los Angeles and that type of thing, but whose fault is this, do you think? And why does it seem to be so insoluble?
I think there's a lot of blame to go around everywhere. I think COVID definitely slowed down a lot of production. Other countries don't have the healthcare system that we do, so a lot of countries are not operating where a lot of these raw materials are coming from to a full capacity. Which then I think when they try to catch up still from the last 2 years, then you have bigger companies that are going in and taking inventory that lessens the available products that should be available. So you see a lot of businesses, which we're trying to change our approach to. If we see something available, you got to go out and get it. You can't just hope that it's going to be there in 6 months or even a month from now because somebody already went and picked it up. So you have a lot of manufacturers who are trying to keep up with the demand, just like every other manufacturer is out there. But it goes all. It's just domino effect. For if you don't have truck drivers to get product into warehouses, if you don't have warehouse labor to unload those trucks, you can't keep up with everything that's going on.
Unbelievable. Neil.
We've even seen Major League Baseball having issues with alternate uniforms. Are you now competing with some of these major players in the sports manufacturing space, and is that hurting your production timeline?
I think there's a chain of command almost, like who's more important. I think that always happens. Like right now, we have uniforms that are stuck in China that were supposed to ship on April 5th. China has another shutdown right now, so unfortunately, those uniforms can't be moved. It's a big program that we work with. They have over 340 baseball players. They consider themselves a very big account, which they are, but unfortunately, there's only so many people that can get jobs done right now. And when it's Major League Baseball or the NCAA, unfortunately, there is a priority list.
Interesting. Joe and I have heard from some manufacturers that are looking to source locally. Is that something that you may have to do? I get, that would obviously raise the cost for you,
We've
but
our costs. We've changed our approach the last 2 years. We used about maybe 5 or 6 contractors for materials for decoration aspect of it. Relying on other companies right now it's not working because of a lot of issues that are taking place. No one wants to go to work right now. So we brought in our own manufacturing to cut out the contracting that we were giving out. It's an investment into the business, but I think for us to be able to continue to sustain our business and our growth, we had to bring in our own manufacturing and our own supply chain, management.
That's amazing. What are you making?
Well, so we do the embroidery and we do the printing on the shirts and all the decoration. We'll also, subcontract out still some uniforms instead of going to the big suppliers because they can't keep up. So whether it be a sublimated item, we can locally source, but to Neil's point, that there is a cost to that. I think some of our customers are aware of the issues that are going on. Some of them, they kind of just say, well, that's on you. You got to make it happen. Do what you have to do. But we were using 6 contractors all in the local area. And while you understood that there were delays, if somebody was sick and got COVID, they had to shut down. It's obviously very unfortunate circumstances. But if we have the control and we can bring in our employees and manage our own, production, it obviously makes things a little bit easier for us.
And a little less profit margin, maybe.
A little less profit margin
Yeah.
for sure. But I think over time, it's all about delivering and what you can do. And that's also the same thing that we've done is bringing in more inventory to have. We just had one of our big brands in here just before we had this call, and we're planning for next year. But they all said it's the only way you're going to be able to fulfill orders and sales is if you have product. And it doesn't matter what brand you are. You can be a Fortune $500 million company like Nike, Adidas, and all these brands, but there's low level tier brands that you should normally be able to get, and they still have all issues.
Neil.
Could this be a good unintended consequence that you start making products in-house? Do you think it could be sustainable long term?
Yeah, I mean, I think in 5 years from now, we'll all be happy that we did this. I think it's a learning curve for us. 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have visioned where we're at, but I think it's the only way for us to continue to grow. I think in the long run, it creates more opportunity. It's risk for sure, but right now you can't rely on other people and you can't rely on products. So you have to really try to control as much as possible. And I think that's it's not just our industry, but a lot of industries right now are all trying to control what they can so they can deliver, products or, or fulfilling orders.
Well, you're really showing what entrepreneurs are made of. Let's just close on an upbeat note.
Yep.
When we met at the business luncheon, you told the audience why you started your own business. Tell us that story, James.
So I was working for a previous company for 5 to 7 years. Was managing a lot of the accounts, doing the sales, and it was tiring. It was frustrating to deal with some of the issues that we had going on. And I felt like I was taking the burden, taking the hit. And I cared a lot. I took a lot of pride in my relationships in the accounts, and I kind of hit a wall. And I had a couple of opportunities to work for other businesses. And because a lot of my relationships were built within, I took the leap of faith and I said I could do it better. And, if I'm going to go home with the stress of, delivering orders, et cetera, I'd rather it be for myself than have to be for somebody who doesn't care as much as I do.
Right. You said you realized that you cared more about the company than the owners did, so you started your own.
It felt like that. I mean, it may not be the reason, but I mean, it felt like that every night where I was, trying to do everything possible, but it led me to the opportunity where we are now. I'm grateful for the experience, but I think, for anybody out there listening to say, hey, I have that mutual feeling, I think it's something that you can kind of go back on.
Well, we're pulling for you. What's the website so people can look at your products
Yes,
if they want to support you? What's the website?
Our website's turn2sportsllc.com. We do embroidery, silk screening. We work for some of the top brands in the country, but we're a full service provider, whether it's, t-shirts, water bottles, sports uniforms, corporate apparel. We do it all.
That sounds like a pitch that's been made at a few Rotary clubs to me there. You got that boiled right down to 20 seconds. Good to know you, James. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
very much, guys. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, James. Good luck.